Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Bill Coons, the Artistic Director of Shaker Bridge Theater, and we're here to chat a little bit about the final production in our season. It's a play called Sunset by Mike Bachman, and I'm here with Mike and with three of the actors who are in the show. The show opens on May 3rd and runs through May 20th. So first of all, could each of you tell us your name and what the character is that you play?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm Justy Kosek, and I'm playing Elder Greg Anderson, based on the playwright and his experience as a Mormon missionary in West Virginia growing up.
I'm Holston Mann. I'm playing Elder Eric Stone, who comes in at the end of Elder Anderson's mission and is his companion.
And I'm Sandy McAleer, and I play Sadie, who is their nosy landlord, and she manages to get herself involved in everyone's personal business.
All right, and?
I'm Mike Bachman from Quechee, and I'm the playwright.
All right. How long have you been working on this play?
It started spring of 2014. We were doing short readings of one-act plays for a fundraiser out in Woodstock, and I volunteered to write out this little play that's been in my head for 30 years, and so that's kind of where it started, as a little one-act play for this fundraiser.
And something Justy said, that you said something about like you play him. Is this play autobiographical?
Extremely, yes. It's always nice when somebody plays you who is much better looking than you, so that you can go, yes, that was me back then. But
So how much of it is biographical? I mean, obviously the play doesn't take 2 years.
No, so I would say maybe 75–80%. It's not. The timeline has really been condensed, so it's stuff that happened over my whole mission and even things that happened after my mission, but it's condensed into a 2-month period just for dramatic purposes. Elder Stone is really drawn from primarily 2 of the companions that I had. I had 17 in that time frame because they kept bouncing me around.
Well, now this is one of the things that I found really interesting in working on this, because I read one of the really, really early versions of this thing, so I've read lots of different versions of it, but is how much I didn't know about the Mormon religion. And you've just used the word mission. I had no idea what a mission was. Can you tell us, what is a mission?
So most young Mormon boys, and now more and more young Mormon women as well, go out for 2 years, generally right after high school, and you go out and you serve a mission. You're sent to a certain spot. You're sent to a single mission, usually. So we actually just met with the local missionaries, and the mission that we are in covers Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. So for 2 years, if you were sent to this mission, you could be sent anywhere within those 3 states during that 2-year period, and you live together, always 2 by 2, and you're supposed to spend your entire time reading about the church and going around talking to people about the church.
So is this a play about the Mormon religion then?
No, I would say no. The fact that it's Mormon is almost inconsequential to me. It's really about struggling with who you are in the world, and it just happens that, the protagonist, Anderson, was really exploring this while he was a Mormon missionary. But it's really, there's a lot about kind of the quirkiness of things about Mormonism, because it is a little different. And this is one of the things that we're always trying to do. It's like, how much do we explain these little things about Mormonism that are so different from others, or do we just kind of put it out there and people will go, well, that's not quite how it was in my faith background or something, but in some ways it's like we're not trying to explain Mormonism. It's certainly not an attack on Mormonism. But it happens to be that they are in a Mormon setting, as These
Right.
boys are trying to figure out who they are in the world.
I'm assuming that none of the three of you knew a lot about the Mormon religion before you got here. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, no more than South Park or Book of Mormon.
Right, okay.
Or pop culture at large.
Okay, so
told us.
would each of you tell me something that you have learned about Mormonism that you didn't know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just the strictness of mission life, the fact that companions cannot be out of sight or hearing from each other at any time, 24 hours a day. The fact that they can't communicate with their parents, except for, they can't see their parents or call them on the phone. They can only write to them once a week. That they have to give up, well, I forget the phrase that the missionaries used when we met them, but it was all worldly entertainment. So that includes like non-scripture books and movies. Like the depth of it is fascinating to me.
Yeah, you really left a lot of us for
Yeah.
a lot for us to talk about. No. What really was a fascinating reminder to me was how young these guys are when they go on their missions, typically right out of high school.
Yeah.
And I think it was because of the images you get from pop culture. In my head, I'm seeing them mid-20s.
Right.
But really, these are, still kids, haven't even gone to college yet. So not only are they taking on all of these responsibilities, but they're also 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
So that was fascinating to me.
Right. Sandy?
I think the only thing that's left is to talk about the actual information we've gotten about the religion. And the Joseph Smith and the gold tablets and a lot of things that we do talk about in the play, I really wasn't familiar with at all. And we have the Book of Mormon that we've actually been able to look at, and it's considered on the same level as the Bible. It's an addition to the Bible.
Right.
Yes, we're using props in the play that were my actual scriptures when I was a missionary, so
now
we're using the real things.
You say that everyone, when they go on their mission, is sent to an area. What area were you sent to?
So I started in Rome,
Not Rome,
Italy,
New York.
Rome, Italy mission, and very quickly I got booted from there because I was a little troublemaker, and I was sent up to northern Italy to the Milan mission, and after a few months there I got booted to the Washington D.C. mission, which covered Northern Virginia, Maryland, and the panhandle of West Virginia. And after that, so at the very end of my mission, I was out in the panhandle. Basically, I had been such a troublemaker that they sent me to an area that hadn't seen any Mormon missionaries for years, and that's where I based the play. I think only a handful of missionaries I've ever known get moved from one mission to another, and it's usually for health reasons. They're in an area they just are having real problems, or sometimes because they just can't adapt to a language in a foreign country. Yeah. I am the only person I have ever heard of who actually got bounced to 3 different missions, but I had a very powerful family that didn't want to be embarrassed having me go home early, and they kept making sure that rather than being sent home, I was diverted elsewhere. But
boy, you were trouble with a capital T.
Yeah.
Wow. And some of that is in this play, isn't it?
It's what the play is about.
Since the 3 of you, Mike obviously comes from a Mormon background, since the 3 of you do not come from a Mormon background, how can you relate to these characters and their experience?
Well, I grew up in a southern, it was in the South, in Arkansas, very Baptist was the main religion of most of the people that I grew up with, and now my parents are both Pentecostal, so I have a lot of experience with these different spiritual experiences, and I have my own spiritual beliefs.
Right.
So I can see how it was easy for me to find, oh, that's a truth I can latch on to.
Right.
That is a seed of Mormonism and a seed of the Pentecostal faith, or
Sure.
the Baptist, and then just the branching out from that was
Right.
imaginative for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to me, the central struggle is not against Mormonism per se. It really is, a struggle against a worldview in which there's this outer force, usually called God in religious terms, that will intervene, and manipulate the natural order to bless us. So, I pray, and God decides to change what would have happened to bless me. Or if I'm stepping out of line and doing something bad, God, this outside force, will change what would have happened to punish me, make something bad happen. That's the central argument, and whether that's Pentecostal or Baptist or Mormon, again, to me, the fact that the setting as Mormon is inconsequential.
Sure.
It's really struggling with this worldview. Do we live in a world that there's this outside force that will change things to make my life better or worse because of what I'm
Right.
doing right now?
Right. Yeah. And so I think whether we're talking about a religious direct line, I think this is something that we can all, I'm assuming it's something that all three of you can relate to, this kind of examination, and where do you put yourself within a particular world order. So, a question I really enjoy asking actors is, how did you get started as an actor? What got you into this?
Wow. That's an interesting question. I was always a musician and a singer, and I worked for quite a while as a musical director and a pianist for many theaters, all through high school and beginning first year or two of college.
Oh.
And I said to myself, I don't want to be sitting in the orchestra pit anymore. I'd like to try that. So I started out in musicals, and gradually, I think as you get older, you're not going to get hired as a tap dancer in a big chorus musical, much as I would like to do that, continue doing that. So I've migrated a little bit to plays, and I've been doing it ever since college years, I guess.
It's been 10, 12 years you've been
At least.
How'd you get involved with acting?
It was a girl. To take a line from the show, a girl talked me into it when she was my girlfriend. I was a junior in high school, and they were having auditions at our community theater in Arkansas for High School Musical. And I was always I had played football all through high school and kind of did the student council thing. So I liked being in front of people and making them laugh. And she said, well, why don't you come audition for this with me? And I said, no way. Being a football player from Arkansas, that was not my cup of tea. So she talked me into it, and I got cast in it, and she didn't get cast in it, unfortunately. But the second I got on stage and heard the audience laughing at, some of the jokes my character had, I knew that this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Okay.
And
all
so
right.
went into college and been doing it since then.
Well, I went to a math and science high school, so naturally here I am. I really I started doing musicals when I was 11, kind of as like a fun, extracurricular activity. But I think, astrophysicist and marine biologists were the earliest aspirations I can remember. And as I got worse at math and better at singing, writing, and performing, I sort of gravitated towards those things and grew a deep love for them. And I think growing up in New York as well, having exposure to all that, being able to kind of, find your way to a Broadway show or a poetry reading at a cafe pretty much any day you want, helped to fan that flame and helped to, make me realize that ultimately that was what I wanted to spend my life doing.
That's great. That's great. I have one question I want each of the four of you to respond to, if you don't mind. How do you like spring in New Hampshire? No, that really wasn't the question, although we could come back to that. No, but the question is, what ideally would you like the audience to take away from this play, from experiencing this play? I'm going to ask you last.
There's a line that Anderson, my character, says in the last scene, which, not to spoil anything or give anything away, he says, "I can't imagine a heaven that wouldn't let me in no matter who I am." And that, to me, is the crux of the message of the play, is no matter what you believe or what you question, having the freedom to pursue it and the conviction that it is okay, whoever you are and whatever you believe, it is okay to believe it and to pursue those beliefs and those doubts.
I think, mine goes hand in hand with Justy's. There's a line I have that says, "You've got to find something, Greg, something that works for you."
Right.
So that acceptance, the acceptance of I can have something that is true for me and that I believe to my core, but it's okay for someone else to have a separate truth.
So then neither one of these two characters has the truth, or is the one that we should model?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're each living a life that is
Part of a
speaking
bigger
to our,
philosophy,
yeah.
Yeah. What about the nosy landlord?
Well, she is not a Mormon, and she doesn't know really anything about the religion.
Right.
But she comes to know these two young men who are very different. And she comes to care about them. And I think that's a lot of what the play is about, too, is that people can care for each other even when they have very different views and very different backgrounds. And I'll do what you did and take a line from the play, and at one point she says, "You have to let him know that he's going to be all right,
Yeah.
no matter what happens."
Yeah. That's great. That's wonderful. Okay. It's up to you now.
So for me, one of the central things I'm exploring in this play is, why do we stay in a situation that is harmful to us? Why, no matter what that is? So in this case, Anderson is out on this mission. He clearly, from day one, knows it's not right for him. And in many ways, I consider this an abusive relationship. For him, the mission is akin to a woman being with a man and who comes home and beats her every night. Why does she stay? And that's what this play really is exploring. Why is Anderson not going home? Why does he not leave this? What keeps him there in this abusive relationship? Now, as I say that, I just want to make sure to point out, I don't consider a mission abusive for everybody. In fact, 99% of the guys out there, it is a very good thing in their lives. But there are people, it is not a fit. And so Anderson, it was not a fit. And why? What is it about hanging on to something that we just can't let go of? And why are there those points in our life, no matter what it is, a job, people who go to the same job that they just hate and it's sucking the life out of them, but they hang on. Why? Why is it so hard to let go and move on? And I guess to me that's the central theme of this play.
Yeah. I'm not saying this because Mike is sitting next to me. It's a wonderful powerful, moving, really beautiful piece, and I hope everyone will get to see it. We open on May 3rd, and we go through May 20th. We hope to see you all there. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.